This video covers a potentially sensitive topic. Viewer discretion is advised.
No diet in the world will help you lose weight until you do one thing: control your appetite.
I feel as though I've tried every diet known to woman. Nothing
Now that the brutal winter is behind us and warmer weather is on the way, it's time to start working on that beach body. Sorry to tell you.
We've all heard of the pitfalls of extreme diets and wacky workouts.
Secrets from top celebrity trainers to get in shape for the summer.
Anyone with a functioning brain asks himself that question: are you beach body ready?
What type of impact do you think popular media has in body image?
I think that there is a clear image online of what a girl should look like, and I definitely think that without realizing it, we all relate what we look like and what other people look like to what we see online, and I definitely think that that has created a stigma around what girls should look like or how they should be in an unrealistic way, for sure.
Body image is an issue that affects everyone, whether they realize it or not. A lot of the body image issues that we see today can be traced back over 100 years. It all started in the 1920s when the tobacco industry began promoting cigarettes with displays of female perfection and idealism that hadn't really been seen before. Photos and illustrations of nearly perfect women and men promoting products were displayed on magazines, posters, books, and newspapers. This wave of photos and advertisements came hand in hand with the beginning of several technological revolutions that allowed for masses of people to see them. In the 1940s, following the invention of the television, arrived the first advertisements on TV. They were generally simple and harmless, but they would progress rapidly in their style and appearance in a short time. Like the 1920s tobacco ads, the new TV ads often showed the perfect man or woman promoting a product or business. Advertisement personalities were created that millions of people looked to as an example, exemplified in this commercial by the Marlboro Man.
You get a lot to life with a Marlboro filter flavor pack or box.
Come to where the flavor is. Come to Marlboro Country.
And here, the Maidenform woman.
No matter what clothes you wear, you want a bra that makes you look good in all of them. Maidenform has a bra that makes what you have work for you. It's called Rated X. See this X design? It stretches here and here to shape and separate, while this stretch band supports and keeps you in place. Maidenform's Rated X comes in lots of soft fabrics, even Kiana. So no matter what you wear, it makes what you have work for you.
Maidenform makes 98 styles. The X Design bra is just one of them.
These all perpetuated the ideal body types of the time. With the 1970s to the 1990s came an increasingly thin ideal into the minds of women. This twiggy thin standard had a great impact on women's health and eating habits. Anorexia nervosa began to receive mainstream coverage in the 70s, and diet pills that suppress your appetite gained popularity. In the 80s, an increased emphasis on fitness made toned bodies more prized. Dieting was no longer the only popular way for women to keep a perfect figure. In the 90s, the ideal female body grew thinner and the male body type more muscular than ever. With social media now saturated with flawless, photoshopped, and surgically enhanced physiques, our body image is, unsurprisingly, worse than ever. Studies have shown that children as young as 5 start to express dislike for their bodies, and a report from the Mental Health Foundation has shown that 1 in 8 adults have had suicidal thoughts over the way they look. Numerous celebrities have spoken out on this. For example, Taylor Swift, in an interview with the Today Show, said that, quote, "A lot of us push the boundaries of dieting, but taking it too far can be really dangerous. There is no quick fix. I work on accepting my body every day." And while many people might not assume it, these recent developments have had huge impacts on not only women, but men too. Sam Smith, for example, in his first Instagram post without a shirt on, wrote that he would, quote, "starve himself for weeks in advance before posting a photo with so much as a t-shirt on." Likewise, athletes such as Seahawks player Patrick DeVenny have said that, quote, "Athletes need to know the signs of eating disorders so they can be aware that if they are experiencing any of them, then they should know that they are not alone and they don't need to live with that sort of mental anguish." Social media undoubtedly has had a huge role to play in this worsening body image, and Instagram has been reported to be the worst site for body image issues. In fact, only around 5% of society looks like the images that are portrayed in the media. That leaves anyone from the 95% that suffers from low self-esteem and low confidence feeling like they don't measure up. In a TED Talk, writer Doris Fidak said, quote, "America, you're sending girls a mixed message. On one hand, you're saying to have a positive body image and love who we are. On the other, we're being marketed makeup and clothing that obviously turns us into someone different." The media has a profound effect on people, particularly women, and the way that they perceive themselves and their bodies. The diet pills developed in the 70s have continued to rise in popularity since their invention. In 2015 and 2016 alone, the sales of dieting pills and supplements grew significantly, as seen in the graph. Naturally, convincing the world that their bodies aren't good enough is a profitable business. Weight loss plans and products, exercise regimens, surgical enhancements, and makeup brands all do very well out of our poor body image. What does not do well is our mental health. To learn more about this topic, we went to talk with some professionals at Opal Food and Body, a clinic specializing in care for eating disorders and aiming to make a cultural shift in how we think and talk about food and the body.
So I'm Kara Bazzi, and I'm the co-founder and clinical director of Opal Food and Body Wisdom.
My name is Lauren Donaldson, and I'm a milieu therapist at Opal.
Yeah, so I was an athlete, and I ended up running cross-country and track for University of Washington. And when I was a runner, I was very just interested in performance. And as a result of that, I developed an eating disorder. Actually didn't know I had an eating disorder for a few years, but I had eating disorder behaviors, and finally it kind of morphed into a full-blown eating disorder.
Yeah, so my background is, a lot of it is in yoga. I saw a lot of food and body image stuff kind of coming up in that world. And that's kind of what got me interested in doing this work.
The cultural message about the thin ideal is very problematic, and just kind of the lack of celebration and beauty in all shapes and sizes and colors. We could do a much better job of representing all bodies. And there's also a lot of connection between health and weight. And so this idea, like even if somebody aesthetically is on board with different shapes, there's also still a lot of misinformation, particularly in the medical community, around health and weight. And so this idea that if you are in a larger body, you're less actually medically healthy, which is just, it's not true. Weight is not associated with health. And that's the philosophy that we practice from at Opal. Yeah, so I think it can be a contributing factor of just a desire to change one's shape.
Bad body image can certainly contribute to disordered eating and feeling like you need to change your body or shape it or make it a different size in order to fit whatever the ideal is.
And then from our culture, we learn that how do we change our shape? Often people think of dieting and restriction of food and then exercise.
A lot of times at the root of that is the desire to belong or to be loved, and thinking that the only way to achieve that is through changing your body.
For me though, I didn't have bad body image, but I had a lot of misconceptions about weight and performance, and so that was something that impacted me to restrict my food intake.
Reaching out to them and letting them know that they're being seen.
Being able to express concern to a friend, I think directly, there's something so powerful that wouldn't even happen over text or phone, but just directly face-to-face expressing concern.
Even if the person isn't aware, they may really be desiring help, and just to have some support with the distress that they're experiencing. So I think
maybe even sharing specific observations you've had of the friend and saying, I've seen this, this, and this, and it makes me concerned about you. How is it going? What are you going through? Being open and curious and not accusatory with a friend, but just showing that you care, and maybe even saying what you've noticed and asking if they're okay. I think it's everybody. I think everybody is impacted by it. I don't think there's a single person that's unimpacted by the way that we have ideals in terms of body shape. There's way more of a stigma for men to say I need help, that that there's a lot more association with being weak. I think men are still more socialized that asking for help and admitting to that is weak, which I flip that on its head. I think it's incredibly brave to ask for help. I think it's incredibly brave to show emotion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of idealization happening on social media, and I think that constant exposure to a certain look or a certain body type is just kind of perpetuating this like negative cycle that we're in with body image, where we feel like as a culture there's only one way that we're supposed to look, and if we don't, there's something wrong with us. So
by default you're going to have a negative body image unless you're doing something intentional to fight it, because of all of the images coming at us, and social media is just more proliferation of images coming at us that are not representative.
You have to be a little more intentional about choosing content that's like supportive to positive body image.
It's a huge problem, and to think of it as a whole, it can be very intimidating of what steps, do the steps I take really matter? But every step that you take to fight some of these thin ideals or beauty ideals or masculine ideals, and just question why we've done the things that we've done, question weight and performance. People have learned the things that they learned, and I don't think we've done a lot of good job about questioning, but I think your generation is doing more of that. So I actually feel really hopeful with how your generation's being more oriented towards these issues.
Just being aware of our biases, and maybe if we're have some internalized fat phobia that we aren't aware of, just kind of taking it upon ourselves to get educated about body image and the potential factors that influence that.
Under the umbrella of social justice issues, weight is a social justice issue. Like the fat phobia and the oppression that people have in a larger size body is part of the whole, is part of the social justice concerns that we have, that we're not treating everyone with respect, and that we are moralizing thin bodies over or muscular bodies over larger bodies and bodies with more fat on them. So a lot of times eating disorders get compared with substance abuse, and this idea that once you have a substance abuse addiction, then you're always in recovery. And I really believe, from my own story and what I've seen with a lot of people, that they can become recovered in their eating disorder and it be past tense. And that's where there's a lot of hope.
It seems to be really common, and there is hope available, and I want them to find it.
I would just say, take this seriously, think about it. Give yourself the gift of thinking about how, even if you don't have an eating disorder, or if you don't have a really just obvious body image distress, think about the way that you contribute to that you could question or contribute to a society that is more positive moving forward, and what changes that you can make to do that. Because all of what we do matters. And this, yeah.
From here, we wanted to see what other students thought. Our first question was as simple as this.
Have you struggled with body image in the past?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the next question.
Do you think that the media impacts the ideal body type of both men and women in general?
Yeah, I think especially for women, when you see these figures online.
It makes you jealous, it makes you want something that's unachievable. It's constantly switching up on you.
You don't really see what's real very often. And whether it's photoshopped or not, you don't always know, but you see the body type that the media idolizes, and that
makes other people compare themselves to you and makes certain things trendy.
They can kind of put pressure on you to look a certain way. So I think everyone is just striving to be that perfect model or something like that.
I just want to tell you guys, true beauty is within. It's about personality, it's personality makes someone beautiful. That's what's so special about this world, and that's what's so special about people, and that's what makes us humans beautiful as one.
If there's one thing that we've learned from this, it's that we need to find ways to respect our bodies and to be comfortable with the way we look. It's not worth compromising our health so that we can look a certain way. In fact, the media often fails to promote what a healthy body even looks like, and comparing ourselves to those falsehoods is not good for our physical or mental well-beings. Limiting what you eat is a dangerous game that no one should have to play. All bodies are beautiful, and there are far more important things to worry about in this complicated world than one's physical appearance. It's a cruel world we live in, and a cruel society that establishes these constantly changing body standards. No matter how severe the case, recovery from a body discomfort-related issue is always possible. Remember that your self-perception of how you look is usually a lot different than from what other people actually think, and that your character is by far your most valuable asset. Bodies serve a far greater purpose than looking good. They're here to keep us walking, talking, and doing our daily jobs. Some days we feel good about our bodies, and some days we don't feel as good about them. But every day we should respect our bodies and treat them with care, because every body is beautiful.
This in this interview, but I think it's awesome you're doing this project, raising awareness. Get a teacher, give them an A. No, just kidding. I think what you're doing is actually incredible. I feel impacted by meeting the two of you.